Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Red Ready Man. In this episode we're going to be taking a look at the meta for the Kanto Cup. Kanto Cup starts Monday the 16th of November, 1pm PST, and runs for 7 days, just like the Little Cup has been running. And it's been designed by Niantic to shake up the leagues a little bit, I guess. Before we get into that, what did these two have in common with each other? They both had cups designed for them by Niantic. If you have been very used to seeing Bronzer for the last week, well, you better get used to seeing Hypno for the rest of the following week, because he is going to be everywhere. Let's get into the details of why that is so. So these three Pokemon, I believe, one of them at least will be in every single team, if not 2 or 3. I think this would be an amazing team to run. If you have the Lapras, I do not have the Lapras. I have the other two, but I do not have the Lapras. You could also potentially swap out the Arawak for the Marowak for Muck, but we'll get into those a little bit later on. So these three Pokemon, I think, are going to be the core of what we see an awful lot of, and everything that he's going to build is going to be built around dealing with these. So I think there's also going to be some other players. There's that Alolan Muck that I was talking about earlier. We have Mew, and I think Snorlax is going to have a big part to play in this because of his normal typing. I don't think we'll see so many Mews because a lot of people have already powered them up above 1500, or just don't have the resources to put the second move on it, which is so important, or don't have the resources to spend the elite TMs trying to get the moveset you actually want. Muck, if you were played GoFest, Muck was everywhere, and I actually have a really good PvP level 1 that I haven't powered up yet, but I think I will be for this cup. And then Snorlax, we've seen a lot of Snorlax. Shadow Snorlax also does very well in this cup because of its bulk. I've also picked out some that you may already have built. So I think Gyarados is actually a little bit of a sneaky pick for this cup. Actually does a lot with Aqua Tail and performs very well. Wigglytuff, we've just had a Spotlight Hour just last week, so I can imagine that you've got a fair bit of candy and might even have one already for PvP, which could be fantastic. Now Machamp, I imagine most people have got one built up, but I personally wouldn't be spending my resources on Machamp. If you were running Cottony in if you're running Dino in Little Cup and you came across Cottony, that would be happening to Machamp a lot in this cup. I've also picked up a few spice picks here. I don't think we'll see a lot of Shadow Mewtwo's, purely because of the resource. To make it viable, you really want to be running Psystrike and Shadow Ball, which requires 2 elite charge TMs, which is an awful lot to be putting on. But maybe a few people will be running it, and I'm actually quite interested to maybe pair up mine and see what it will do. I think we will see the return of Shadow Victory Bell. Shadow Victory Bell does have some play in this cup, and we already know that quite a few people have got them built already and will be keen to use them. Alolan Sandslash, I think this will be a little bit of a cheeky pick that we will see quite a bit of, and we'll see him come up a little bit later in this video. His head pops up in all sorts of places that makes me think this could be a little bit of a spicy pick. If you hatch eggs, you've probably got a lot of them and a lot of candy, so a lot of resources to be able to pair one up for this cup. So let's take a look at Hypno first. So Hypno, it basically does well against most things, apart from Alolans. So a lot of the Alolans will definitely beat Hypno, and the Wigglytuff and the Snorlax for the natural, and the Lapras that I talked about already. So, but even then, they're not harsh losses. They're losses, but they're not like delete. So it should do quite well against most things. Alolan Marowak, well, that's going to be the key counter to Hypno and the Wigglytuffs and the Sandslashes. But the Snorlax and Dragonair will do very well against it, but nothing really kind of, again, hard walls it. So that's why I think it's going to be one of those core ones that we see in most people's teams. And then Lapras. Lapras is super strong. I really like the Lapras matchup here. I mean, he does well against Hypno, Wigglytuff, Snorlax, Sandslash, and Dragonair, and really only loses to Marowak. You're not going to see these others in there. I mean, I don't believe you're going to be seeing Machamps and Zapdoses and Aerodactyls in this cup. It's just not going to be so. So I think he's going to have a lot of play. He does need that legacy move of Vive Shard on the fast move, but we actually pick up a fast elite fast TM at this week's community day, so it could be an ideal time to use that if you have one. I don't have one that I'm willing to spend the resources on because the IVs just aren't good enough for me to warrant spending all of that money. I do have a shadow one that does have better IVs for the cup, but unfortunately we haven't had a Rocket Takeover for a while where I can actually TM that away. So I believe there's going to be a core in this cup, and that core I believe is going to revolve around Hypno and Muck. They just complement each other so well. They really do kind of play well against it, and it also is a good counter to Hypno, Muck, and also a good counter to Muck's Hypno's biggest threat, which is Marowak. So I think this could be a really good duo, and it's definitely something I'm going to try and build my team around. So I said I would suggest some teams for you, and I've got these ones here that I think are good starting points to actually look at for the team. So Hypno, Marowak and Sandslash, I think will give you lots of coverage in this team, and I think he's a real potential strong team in this league. You'll notice that every team that I have has a Hypno in there. I think you've got to run with a Hypno. Just, well, you're not got to, but actually it's going to make your life a lot easier, even more so than Bronzor, because there's only really Marowak that hard walls that Hypno. And then I've got another team of Snorlax, Hypno and Mew. I think there's a lot of play in this one too. Lots of safe coverage, and Mew with 2 shields, 2 to 0 shields, will beat every single Pokemon in this meta. So very powerful, and also very good for baiting shields out, because nobody ever knows what Mew's move set is. So everybody gets a little bit nervous and always shields them up. And then finally I've got Hypno, Marowak and Gyarados. I think if you don't have that Lapras, Gyarados is a poor man's Lapras. We had a community day not so long back, and that means you'll have a lot of candy and probably have some good PvP IV ones that are worth investing in. And I definitely think that Gyarados will have some use after this cup. It's not the strongest of teams, but I think it gives you really good coverage across all the challenges of the meta, and they all cover each other really quite well. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to be running. This is going to be my team, and my team is going to be Hypno, Alolan Persian and Alolan Muck. And it's a little bit spicy, but actually now I'm ranked 10, I actually want to run a little bit of spice in the team, and I think I will be changing it up quite a lot. I also want to bring in my Mew at some point, because I have a Mew that's powered up and ready to go and double moved. So I'll definitely be running some teams with Mew. I'm actually really excited for next week, because I think I'm going to get lots of content out of it. Because 1, it doesn't matter about my elo, and 2, it means that this cup gives us a little bit more wiggle room to play, Wigglytuff room. So that's going to be my team to start with. It probably will change as I go, and probably will keep changing, but I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think there's any play in that team? I'll show you my team's matchups here. So nothing really hard walls any of them, apart from Graveler on Muck, and Machamp on Persian, and Clefable on Persian, and Wigglytuff on Persian. So out of those ones, I only think we will see Wigglytuffs. So nothing anywhere hard walls. So the safety of this team is a lot more stable. And nobody will be expecting the Persian, or at least I hope they won't be expecting the Persian. Maybe I think I'm being smart by picking that out. I think it's around about rank 72 in PV Poke. which is pretty low. It's only 150 meta or 160 meta with the Alolans, I guess. It's not a hot favourite, but you can see there's nothing in that meta that really kind of scares it apart from the three that we mentioned. And Hypno and Muck, also the only one Muck has a problem on is Graveler. It's like you're not going to be seeing that many Alolan Gravelers, I can't think. So all very kind of comfortable and doable matches, to the point of you probably don't have to switch out and can just end up doing a lot of damage and then coming in with something so you don't get switch locked, which is going to be a lot of my play. Listen, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you found that useful. Are you excited for the Kanto Cup that's coming up? Do you have some teams? I would love to see your teams in the comments below. But until then, what are you still doing here? Let's go Pogo.